Hi, I'm Kara with Community Foundation of Southeast Kansas, and today we're going to walk through the grant application process. Each application may vary slightly with their own requirements, like geographical location, specific demographics served, or a specific focus area, but this should help you get a general idea of how to fill out your grant application. After you log in, you'll either see your dashboard or a screen with available grants. If you've applied for grants before, you will see your dashboard. And this is a screen grab of what your dashboard will look like. In assigned to you, it will show you specific tasks that are required for you to do as an applicant. Some agencies have multiple applicants, and anytime a grant is awarded, the follow-up assignments are assigned to the person that applied. Under action needed, these will show you tasks that you need to complete in order of the soonest deadline. So this agency's first task to do is due on March 1st of 2025. And then it just gets later and later past then. And then this one's an evaluation report. Then on no action, will show you shows pending applications that have been submitted, but the awards have not been entered yet, or denials. So this agency has applied for a Columbus Area Community Foundation grant, but that committee has not met and made decisions. And then on historical, you'll see what you've applied for and the status. Now I've blacked out the identifying project information. But if your project was awarded, this drop down will show you the forms that associate with it. So your application for that grant, the agreement form to accept the grant, and the evaluation report to complete when your project is complete. This next one is going to look the same whether you didn't complete your application or if it was denied. So it'll just say denied here. And you can abandon your own applications, or after the applications have closed, if there are outstanding applications in draft, they'll just get marked as abandoned. So you'll see associated with this one is just the application, and it'll more than likely be partially filled out. It's just showing a history of what has been attempted or applied for in the platform. If this is your first time applying for grants, you'll see your dashboard with any available applications. At this particular time for this fake scenario, the only application available or only grants available are sample grant application. There will be times out of the year that there will be multiple active at the same time, and you'll just want to make sure that you're careful to pay attention to. This will have a summary in here of what what requirements are, or eligibility requirements. So just pay attention to this and make sure that you're applying for the right one. So since Susie Q hasn't applied for any grants, we can see that our only available grant process is the sample grant application. If she was to go here and click home, this is the same screen that you had seen before, just blank because she hasn't applied. So we're going to go back to apply. And we're going to click apply for this grant process. So you will need to know what nonprofit status your agency is. And if you have any questions about that, we have kind of scattered throughout the application in red links for frequently asked questions or tutorials on how to do certain documents. And this one happens to be a document that gives the definition of the nonprofit statuses. So we know that this project, well, you will know, Susie Q is applying for a grant for a sensory classroom in an elementary school for USD 000. So this is for an educational institution. There will be a pop-up box later. The box and questions will be different depending on which selection you choose. And I have answered these questions on a separate page, and I'm just going to copy and paste all of my information provided. Every agency should really have a mission statement, and everybody's is going to be different. It's the wrong thing. Okay. This is the mission statement for USD 000. And then they're going to give a brief description of their organization. Here. Now we've already done a tutorial right here on how to download, save, and upload your application. If you're interested in watching that or need some help on how to complete your template, and the template's embedded here, then you can watch that and it'll show you how to do it, and some kind of requirements associated with it. Here's the blank template. We have already completed ours in a previous tutorial, so I'm going to minimize my screen, and I have my board list saved here. So I'm going to left click it, hold on to the left click, drag it, and then let it go. And make sure that your cursor is in that rectangle. If it doesn't upload, then try it again. It was probably because of placement of your cursor. Another thing, you'll get an error code if your document is open and you try to upload it, it won't let you do that. So we've uploaded our board of directors list, and once it's in there, you can click it and see the completed document that you've uploaded. And has your organization received funds from us or one of our affiliates before in the past 3 years? In this instance, USD 000 has. And then we'll move on to project information. The name of the project is a sensory classroom. And the description, they're going to tell what they plan on doing with the space, how they came about the space, why they need the space. So there's that. So they are going to, sometimes that number will be easy to determine if you have a classroom and every student. This one, it's a made up project. So I just kind of used this information here to determine how many students would potentially be served by this project. And I've chosen 250. The average, the rough estimate of student population is 270. Because this project isn't exclusively going to be for children with special needs, they will also let it function as a calm down or relaxation space for some of our general education students having emotional outbursts, sensory overload, or any other extreme reaction that may result in acting out or causing distractions. So their entire student population might benefit from this space. Another thing that you'll see that might look a little different throughout applications, they might not all look like this. What Southeast Kansas counties will your project benefit? Some of them will be specific to Cherokee County, and the question will be, will this project only serve Cherokee County residents or agencies, something like that. And there might be a couple of other questions on some other ones, but this one, it doesn't say it, but it's a Pittsburgh school. So we're going to say Crawford County. If it's a wider spread project that would serve multiple counties, click all of them. We like to gather as much data as we can as for how far spread our services provide. And then your start date, let's say January 1st is when you plan on hopefully purchasing some of the supplies and things like that. And your project end date is going to be the more important one. This date isn't accurate. It's going to change on each application. But ideally, we would like your project to be completed and your evaluation report to be completed and submitted before the start of next year's grant cycle. That's the same grant, just a different year. So this one, we will have it completed, let's just say June 13th. If it's not completed by then, that's fine. That's just the guesstimate of this one getting completed. If you need the entire year for it to be completed, that's fine as well. And if you run into any curveballs where your project can't be completed or there's delays or things like that, then we have information in our agreement form. Okay, your project narrative is going to identify the need your project addresses, how it was identified, gaps that exist in current services, and if it's a new or ongoing project for your organization. So for USD 000, this isn't a new service because they offer special needs services to their students already, but this is a new project to expand that service. And one thing to note for new or ongoing is if there's going to be future funding needed for it. And in this one, Susie says it's an ongoing program in our school, but once the main installations are in place, we do not anticipate additional replenishment beyond the typically provided curriculum materials and maybe replacing more heavily used toys from time to time. Maybe replacing some broken toys here and there, but some of the installation pieces are larger and wouldn't have the normal damaging wear and tear. Target population, Susie explains in this one that the main target is going to be their special needs classrooms and their special needs students, but they are going to not limit the space to students with those needs. Any student would have access given the need. So, and the agencies to collaborate with, Susie is explaining that there's no collaboration outside of our own school and those that provide services to our school. Referral for use of the space outside of special ed teachers and their students will come from individual teachers with students experiencing behaviors that will benefit from visiting the room. So it'll be internal referrals to use this space, but outside of this elementary school, it won't get use. And then goals and expected outcomes. This is to explain how you anticipate your project benefiting your particular community that you're applying for. Okay. And then how you're going to evaluate the success of your project. There's going to be different ways that each application and each agency evaluates success. This again is going to ask long-term strategies for funding at the end of the grant period. So if it's an ongoing project that's going to need constant replenishment of certain things, then you would explain how you plan on making that happen. Susie again mentions once this room is initially completed, we do not anticipate additional funding needs beyond the normal curriculum supplies and replacing smaller items. These supplies and replacements will be figured into the school's annual budget. While this portion might not be likely, it is a fake application. Okay, another part that's not required, but could potentially benefit is if you have any photos of maybe what you're requesting or the space that you're changing over, things like that, just to give the review committee an idea of what your inspiration is, I guess. So we have Susie made a document that shows their inspiration for the space. This is the existing space that they're flipping, and these are their inspiration photos. Not everything in these photos are being requested, but this is the idea of what they want to provide to their students. So Susie is going to drag and drop this file right there, and we'll continue on. So the total project amount, and this doesn't have to be, these numbers don't have to be different. If your total project budget is $1,000 and you're asking for $1,000, that's perfectly fine. Your budget template gives you the opportunity to explain other funding sources and things like that, should you have them, but it doesn't have to be something that's already receiving additional funding. But this one does. So I think it was $44,393, and they're requesting $2,500. We've already completed our budget template. That is right here. So Susie itemized the things that she's requesting. USD 000 Elementary School has applied for another grant. They've received the okay to put some of the school's budget towards the project. They had a fundraiser, a donor, and then they have a couple of in-kind donations that are going towards the project. Not all projects are this involved, but so Susie has already completed her budget, and we're going to drag and drop the budget here. Another optional is if you have a quote that was given by a salesperson or a contractor or something like that, you can upload it. Sometimes some agencies like to include maybe proof in a shopping cart. So Susie took her shopping cart, and we have a tutorial on how to make this into a PDF from a shopping cart. And she's shown every item that she is planning on purchasing for this room. And then it has the website information. So we're going to take the same thing, drag and drop her cart. And then another thing that she's going to explain on her document here, she has down at the bottom some smaller items. Well, it's not letting me select them, but she has a decent amount of smaller items that she included collectively in one line item just because they're smaller and they might exchange one of them for another, which wouldn't be a huge deal. So her budget narrative is kind of going to explain some of that. You'll see from the uploaded shopping cart and spreadsheet that we compiled all of the smaller toys and tools into a collective line item on the spreadsheet. And then she's acknowledging too that they have a pending application for an Elm Acres at-risk youth grant that has not had any award notifications as of the day that she submits her application. And then they are willing to receive partial funding for this project. There's a drop down to explain that as well. So now the name of the parent institution is Pittsburgh USD 000, and the building that is being benefited is the elementary school. Per IRS requirements, we need a W-9 completed. And then we also require a director or administrator statement of support. This is just to show that the administrators are aware that you are applying for your grant. And then this one, again, made up project, made up a support letter. Becky Davidson is the principal. So we are going to upload her statement of support showing that she's acknowledging that the project is getting requested. And then because we selected that we would accept partial funding is more and more likely as the amount of request is much larger than the amount of available funds. So Susie has explained if we receive partial funding for this request or the Elm Acres request, we will purchase the items in the order that we listed them on the application spreadsheet up to the granted dollar amount. To fund the remainder of the items listed, we will either request funding from the USD 000 budget allowance next year, do another fundraiser, or apply for more grants. And then she specifies we will be able to have a functional sensory classroom without all of the requested items and can take our time to provide them. So if they don't get every single item on their list, they will still be able to put this classroom to use. And now we are going to enter the people that know that this project is being requested. So we've got our principal, the board president, and then Susie is the applicant and today's date. So you can save your application. It does auto save, but if you want to be safe, you can save your application to work on it later. Just make sure you go back and submit it another time. Make sure you go back to submit it if you leave it in draft. So we're gonna go back to continue. You can go back through all of this, read it, check it out, make sure it's exactly what you want it to be, make sure it makes sense, and then submit your application. Once you've submitted it, you can't make changes to it. Oh, I didn't answer a question. So it'll tell you clearly if you don't answer a question. Oh, so I didn't answer this one. So USD 000 did receive other awards, and this encompasses all portions of USD 000, not just the elementary classroom. So the middle school received a grant in 2024. The elementary school did receive a grant in 2023, and the high school received one in 2023. So enter that as much as you know it, and then you can submit your application. Your data can't be changed once it's submitted, but if you do feel like you need to make some changes, just let me know and we can put it back into draft for you to make those changes. Otherwise, that is how you apply for one of our grants. Again, there might be some changes from application to application, but overall that should get you over most of the hurdles that you might encounter. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing your applications in the future.